You are in the largest wastewater treatment plant in the world. Why does Chicago have that?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I have no idea.
Okay, great.
It's how we were founded and where the treatment plant is located,
Okay.
and the area that it services. We service about 5 million people.
I've been with the district for 27 years. Yeah, I'm not looking to retire. I like coming to work. The district actually was a public health agency, which is very true. If you had nothing but polluted water flowing down the waterways, think how horrible that'd be. It does give me a lot of satisfaction to be doing something for the community in general. It's a job that does something besides give you a paycheck.
This is my world. We're at the very end of the whole process right now. This is the final product, but I mean, along the way, there's so many different pieces of the puzzle. One goes down, it affects before and after you. So it's like a big train. Well, when it rains, that means business is good for us because the sewers, we have a combined sewer. So stormwater and wastewater are all conveyed to the plant in the same conduit. So when it rains, we get a huge influx. We get a major flushing of the toilet, as you might call it.
Well, this plant can treat in 1 minute what the average size plant treats in a day.
There are 8 tanks. They're about 17 feet deep. Water is flowing about 1 foot per second to allow inorganic material to settle on the bottom of these tanks before it flows out to the primary settling tanks. They are aerated, so there's air going through to allow that water to, a lot of heavy material gets suspended in the air, so it won't settle on the bottom. Anything settled to the bottom of these tanks, they gets pumped out to a dumpster, then to a landfill.
Usually they figure once they spread it out in the drying cells to dry, they're talking about 6 weeks if the weather's good. Of course, that's another thing, it's weather dependent. If it rains, add that much more time to it. It's hard to dry things in the rain. Our property continues considerably beyond that on the other side. There's another, probably a good mile of drying cells.
So after the primary settling tanks, the effluent goes into secondary treatment. It's the wastewater mixed with the microorganisms, the bacteria in it, which is darker brown. Well, what's going on here in these tanks is whatever stuff that comes in from the primary settling tanks that we did not treat there, organic material, we have to use the bugs, the microorganisms in this water.
There is a bacteria that will consume every item you can imagine, the shampoo that people down the drain, the hair oils that they put down the drain, the bleaches, all that other stuff that's going down the drain. There is some bacteria out there that will change that organic molecule to carbon dioxide and water as a byproduct. And that is what we harness for the major cleanup around here. There are events that cause that cleanup process to go wacko. like a slug of cyanide somebody dumped illegally into the pipe. It'll kill every bacteria and every protozoan in our process. And one of the things we do to avoid that is monitor those processes. We count the number of protozoans and the filaments of bacteria that are seen on a regular basis in that tank so that we know when it's operating well and when it's been kicked off to one way or the other. Drawing up 1 milliliter in this case. Should be at eye level according to the Illinois Department of Public Health when you read your pipette. We dispense it into the sterile funnel. Then the bacteria end up on the filter. The filter has this graph on it so that it's easy to count. It's handled sterilely so that nothing contaminates the filter. It's transferred to an agar plate. After 24 hours, what was 1 bacteria on a filter becomes about 8 million bacteria. 8 million is a big city as opposed to one little guy living in the sticks. So after 24 hours, these bigger blue bumps are the ones we're counting.
So now that the bugs have eaten the solids and they got heavy and they want to settle out, we put them in a final settling tank, or we call it a clarifier. What's at the top is we're finished. It's going over the weirs and out to the canal, and we've treated it's like 99.9% cleaned.